the whole idea of Pecha Kucha is that, because it's 6 minutes, 40 seconds, so a lot of times either your slideshow is running ahead of you, or you have nothing to say and you're just waiting for the slide to move on. And in either case, it's a fun way, it's a game-like activity, and it's fun, and we'll try to stick with the time as much as possible so that, we can all sort of have the same fair kind of structure. Yeah? Okay, we'll begin with Moeez.
I was started from this image that I got yesterday while I was in Islamabad traffic police station. And this image is kind of funny in a way where it says, don't Facebook and drive. First of all, who even lets you use internet on the roads? And then it says, गाड़ी में internet एहतियात से इस्तेमाल करें. So it's already negating what it's saying before. And then it gives an ad of PTCL internet right down there. So now I'll just talk about drawings. Drawing is normally considered as an illustration, representation, and then text is a very different thing as well. You won't really find imagery in there in any way. So now I'll just talk about space. In architecture, we just think of space as a very contained space, or we would say there are people sitting together, or there's some sort of event going on. But how about if we talk about in Baudelaire's definition, where there is one space, you have 3 lights in there, and you turn on one light at one point, and that light could be with that one space by itself. You don't have to have 3 different things. And at the same time, there will be, if you can look into it, a single person can be a space by itself. So if you think of it in that way, there's a whole society with different people in there. So in that case, there are all these spaces that comes into play. Digital space, you're talking in your phone, religious space, cultural space, political space, blah, blah, blah. And then what happens when there are 2 different spaces that collide with each other? What happens when you go into a space that you're not really used to? There's a level of delusion, ignorance. You start to observe things, you think on it, you compare, you try to adapt. And that's what a cultural shock is. Then there comes me, because I used to live here and then I moved into a different country where I never really knew what exactly it is. And all the ideas that I had in my mind, I never really went to a beach. So all the ideas that I had were from imagery, like how video games tell me what a beach is, what a sex shop is, what a bar is, what a station is. And then I reach to this place, I go to the beach and I see this, where there are only few people surfing in the beach. There's no one in the morning, and you just see this view. That's a different space where there are 2 people sitting right next to each other. That's a pool, rock pool, and then suddenly you see these 2 people sitting over there because they're enjoying that waves coming over there, and they're just talking while listening to that beautiful sound. Then there's this image, which was an aerial image I took, I think, last year in February. It actually shows you all these different people doing different activities, creating this whole space, making itself as a society over there. It tells you all about the details. There's water, there's pool, there's concrete, everyone is doing something. Then I started to take more pictures in area, and I started to compare them together, how people are working in actuality and how they look from the top. There is these waves crashing over there. There is someone over here who is trying to save himself from that big wave that's crashing right next to it. So there are all these things that I started to observe. Same case over here. There is one big wave that came in. This old guy is standing over there because he couldn't walk through. He's just standing over there just to make sure that he doesn't slip into that ocean. Where you have already defined a space within that space, and there are people who are more comfortable in one sort of situation and not the other. And you're just trying to blend both of them in together. It's kind of very dark over here, but you can see all these people swimming in the main enclosure, and then there are a few people swimming in that pool. Same over here. They're trying to make their own spaces. Isolation. Everything is in... It kind of looks odd, but at the same time, they're having their own moment over there. There are other people having their own moment over there. So this kind of makes me go to another idea, where I'm kind of... At this point, I'm in a position where this stuff is being presented to this whole city, where they're telling me, oh, you're doing really nice work over here. Oh, we have this Pakistani guy who's doing all of this work over here. In a way, it's a subtle way of saying, oh, you're still not a part of us, but you're doing really good for us. At the same time, over here, I'm not considering myself as a part of this society. So I'm in the middle somewhere. I start to work on this social standards. What exactly is a social standard? What exactly are we looking for? And that comes to this idea of where we have to look for a correct or accepted behavior, honoring regional cultural values, intangible forces affecting the society, and then how do we frame it? It's a region, it's a caste, it's a background, it's a class, it's a social circle, it's a race, and how do we try to govern it, or how do we try to enforce it? It's law, order, and how do you influence? And where do I stand in there? Wearing clothes like this, having long hair, and doing this stuff with my mom in the middle of the train station. I was never part of society before. I'm not part of this society now. I will always be a second citizen. I will be judged by people to the very last bit. There would be no one to defend me, or there would be nothing. What I do with it, I would try to just choose who the person I am. I'll just try to make my own self. I would just not talk about the religion anymore. What I'd come with it is I'll try to divide every single thing to a level where I question what every society is trying to do. There's this idea of this was the first thing that I did. There was this idea of women being oppressed after the wedding happens, and then there's divorce or some sort of mishap where the husband dies. It's always the women who have to go through this situation where they have to go through this 30 days, whatever the days is. She can't talk to anyone, whatever. She can't talk to a man or whatnot. She has to do whatever. There are different people. Some just burn them, whatever. So all these stories came in. I asked these women to tell me what their stories were. They were really interesting stories where there were women whose husband died right after the day. There were women who got married to this guy and they didn't know they were married to the same guy. There were work stories where she didn't know that he would change right after. Then it came to this idea where I have to divide even the fabric, what exactly people are wearing. Why women wear, let's say, shalwar kameez here? Why men have to wear jeans and pants? Why it's considered as the manly piece of clothing? Why does shalwar kameez in a specific way considered to be women's clothes? Why do you have to wear burqa? And that's where I came in from burqa. Burqa is actually, if you look into its definition, it's never really a thing where it says burqa is made for women. It's always a society that forces it on women. If you look into it, it says something that hides your face, something that hides your body, something that hides whatever you feel like. So if a man wears it, he's always considered to be the shittiest person on this planet. Oh, he's a girl, he just has something going on in his brain. So I came with this idea where I want to wear that burqa and do all this stuff. At the same time, women are considered to be the one, if they're wearing burqa, they're considered to be lampshades in Western society. They're considered to be the ones who don't really do anything. They're considered to be the one who just live in their own small space and they don't do anything. Whereas I was trying to develop this idea where they can do whatever they feel like. They can be in art society. They can take selfies. They know who they are. Even if they're standing right next to each other, they know who they are. So they can do whatever they feel like. And that's what the newest exhibition I'm working on. At the same time, I'm still going through this whole thing, doing the same shit at the train station. Thanks.